Hi, we are Christopher, Nil, Ricardo, and Sergi, and welcome to a new episode of Mental Health in Sports, Beyond the Athlete. The other day, we had the opportunity to record this podcast about a very important topic, the emotional burden carried by young athletes. We know that often children and teenagers who practice elite sports experience very difficult situations, far from the normal childhood. In this episode, we want to share our reflections and, most importantly, raise awareness about what really happens behind these young athletes.
Hi, and welcome to a new episode of Mental Health in Sports, Beyond the Athlete. Today, we will address a sensitive yet essential topic, the emotional burden carried by young athletes. We are talking about children and teenagers who, while their peers experience a normal childhood, already have routines worthy of an elite professional.
Today, we talk about silent heroes, children who live trapped between dreams and demands, between glory and the reality of chronic stress. The episode aims to break the silence. We want to tell stories that are not seen on podiums or viral videos.
Because behind an under 12 goal celebrated on social media, there are often sleepless nights. Behind a perfect performance in a dance competition, there are weeks of tension. This podcast aims to raise collective awareness.
And we won't just listen to well-known cases. We will also give a voice to young athletes who haven't made it to the elite, but who have felt the weight of the demands. We will offer a sociological and psychological perspective to better understand what's happening.
In Spain and in many countries, there are children aged 10 or 11 who train 5 days a week, more than 2 hours a day. They finish school, have a quick snack and go to the gym, the pavilion or the track, and they do it with passion, but also under a lot of pressure.
Their life revolves around sports, training, strict nutrition, body checks, weight control, weekend games, travel. But what happens when this rhythm becomes routine and playing transforms into an obligation?
There are young people who can go to camps, who don't see their friends outside the team. They often miss birthdays, parties, and those important moments of disconnection that are crucial for emotional development. This isolation, although it may seem like a positive sacrifice, can have long-term psychological consequences.
And then there is fear. The fear of disappointing, of not being good enough, of losing the scholarship, the trust of the club, or the hopes of their parents. And if not managed well, this can lead to anxiety disorders, chronic stress, or depression.
We have already talked about Noemi Osaka and Simone Biles, but let's add other lesser-known names. The case of Thomas Franco, a young basketball prodigy from Argentina, who at 17 left his elite team due to severe anxiety issues. He said, "I couldn't take it anymore. Every day, I felt like I was playing to survive, not to enjoy."
And for example, the case of Jana Fernandez, she's a footballer from Barcelona, women's team, who after a serious injury admitted to suffering from anxiety episodes and feeling of emptiness. Everything that I was tied to football. When I broke completely.
We also have the testimony of Aritz, a figure skater who left the sport at 16, not because of lack of talent, but due to a constant feeling of invisibility. If I didn't win, no one listening to me. My body was in shape, but my soul wasn't.
And of course, the dark side of social media. Adolescent athletes exposed to criticism, constant comparisons, and pressure to show a perfect life. But what happens in moments of weakness? On days, what happens on days when they don't want to get out of bed?
Young athletes develop a very narrow identity. If you are only the gymnast, what are you when you are not competing? When you are injured? This identity void is a source of anxiety that many sports psychologists try to address.
Many children live under a structure where they have no room to decide. adults, parents, coaches, clubs, set schedules, goals, and routines. This creates dependence and a vertical relationship, where the opinion of the minor is often ignored.
The sports industry treats young athletes as investments. Sign them now, they'll be worth more in 3 years. This commodified view dehumanizes the growth process. There's no space for doubt, rest, or saying, I can do this today.
Social media and social pressure. Social media creates a false identity. It rewards success, a polished image, and constant happiness. But reality is much more complex, and the clash between digital expectations and real emotions can be devastating for an adolescent.
There needs to be a reform in sports education, programs that include psychology from what they want, safe spaces to talk, to express doubts, fears, and emotions.
Coaches need emotional training, not just technical skills, knowing when a young athlete is overwhelmed and responding with empathy can make all the difference.
Clubs must include well-being as a key indicator of success, not just goals or medals. If a young athlete feels heard, cared for, and free, they will perform better. But most importantly, they will live better.
And at home, expectations also need to be reviewed. The dream must belong to the child, not the parents. And if that dream changes, that must also be valid. They have to respect that.
If we truly love sports, we must also love those who participate in it. And that means caring for them, not just demanding from them.
Every young prodigy is a person in development, with doubts, fears, and dreams. They are not just a star project, but a complete human being.
Let's rethink the meaning of success. Success can be having mental health, being able to rest, and being able to stop without fear of disappointing.
And well, this would be all, and thank you for listening. If you have a child, a student, a player, or a friend who practices sports, ask them how they feel, not just how their last game went. So, see you in the next episode, and remember, there's no success without well being. Thank you.
Thank you.